folks, myself included, you're kind of stuck with these picks. Nobody's paying up for a 4th round or a late 3rd round pick in your league. So if you're sitting there in that scenario, you're like, well, I have this pick. I might as well take a shot on somebody. Who do you have your eye on in, let's say, the 3rd round or later in Superflex?
I'll start out with one that, okay, right now his ADP is in the 3rd round. I actually think if he gets the draft capital on day 2 that I expect, he could end up sliding into the back of the 2nd. So I will preface that first, but it's Kellen Mond, quarterback from Texas A&M, a guy we've already mentioned a couple times here. And Kellen Mond, to me, is a perfect upside quarterback. He's 6'3", 211 pounds. I mean, he's built like a wide receiver. He's a mobile quarterback, which means a lot of the red flags he has, which is his arm talent, his accuracy, some of his passing production in college, isn't as big of a deal because he can fall back on his legs, kind of like we saw Jalen Hurts do last season. But Kellen Mond is a dual threat quarterback that gives you that rushing upside that you want in a potential top 5, top 8 fantasy football quarterback. He ran a 4.62 40-yard dash at his pro day. In his college career, he averaged 35 rushing yards a game, ran for 22 career touchdowns. So as far as his mobility goes, he's almost like a Dak Prescott plus with his legs. He does have work to do as a passer, and that's why I think he is going to go day 2, might be the back of day 2 in round 3. We'll see if he can get drafted in the 2nd rounds, but he had a 59% career completion percentage at Texas A&M, which I know is a little bit of a red flag, but he does have a strong arm. He can make a lot of different throws, has arm talent, and he improved each year in college. That's what we want to see. In his last season at Texas A&M, 19 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions, 63.3% completion percentage, which still isn't good, but we saw progression from his freshman year to his last season in 2020. So I do expect him to be a middle round pick, but there are tons of landing spots that could be great for Kellen Mond. Think about an Atlanta, a Pittsburgh, even a Denver. Places
Chicago, Washington.
Yeah, Chicago, Washington, absolutely. Like Atlanta and Pittsburgh might be perfect because he's not going to be thrust into that role right away. He can continue to learn from a great quarterback, whether it's Big Ben or Matt Ryan, develop his game and see if he can get it done after they retire. But if it's a Chicago, a Washington, or a Denver, who knows? He could find himself in a quarterback competition if he impresses in training camp or gets an opportunity in his rookie season. So I think his value could be crushed if he's drafted to like a clear backup destination. Like if he's drafted to like a Seattle in the 4th round, obviously not interested. If he's drafted to one of those places where he's going to be the clear backup to a quarterback that still has 5, 6, 7 years left, don't like him as much as a sleeper. But if he goes somewhere where there is some potential avenue to being the starting quarterback in the next 1 to 2 seasons, man, I'm all in on taking Kellen Mond in the 3rd round if he's there. And the thing is, we have seen middle round quarterbacks that are mobile have success in the past. We saw Dak Prescott as a 4th round pick, a 62% career college completion percentage hit. Dak Prescott, top 5 fantasy football quarterback now in Dynasty, and he made the most of his opportunity with an aging quarterback that got hurt. A similar situation to what if Mond went to Atlanta or Pittsburgh. We saw the same thing with Russell Wilson, a 3rd round pick, 61% college career completion percentage. Ooh. And we saw him go to a dicey situation where Matt Flynn was supposed to be the starter in Seattle, but Russell Wilson straight up beat him out in camp. So if Mond goes to a Chicago, to a Denver, who knows? Maybe he comes in and impresses, ends up as the starter there. We've also seen, Jalen Hurts do the same, was a 2nd rounder last season.
Gardner Minshew, 6th round pick.
Opportunity as a rookie. Yeah, Gardner Minshew, 6th round pick. So there are plenty of these mobile quarterbacks that go in the middle rounds that have found their way to being an NFL starter, whether it be by injury or, a questionable quarterback room in front of them. So if Kellen Mond gets draft capital to a team that's intriguing and there is potential for him to get that opportunity on the field, I think in the right situation, his playmaking ability could make him a real fantasy football asset. So he is someone I'm definitely keeping my eye on draft day. And if he goes to one of those situations and it's not clear cut that he's going to come in and be the starter and everyone else in my league is sleeping on him, man, I'm taking him easily in the 3rd round of drafts.
Nice. Yeah, Mond's fun. He's a fun prospect. And I want to get into a guy that I've had circled. I've like fallen in love with this guy the more that I've looked into him because he's like weird. But he has like the measurable. He's so exciting. It's Simi Fehoko out of Stanford. He's a wide receiver. And in some of the, like on Sleeper, he's not even in there. Like I couldn't even find his name when I was putting together the rookie rankings. But if this guy's available in the 4th, auto pick for me because he's 6'4", 222 pounds. He fits the Cortland Sutton, Alshon Jeffrey type of mold. He ran a 4.49 combine adjusted 40 time that was 4.44 at the pro day.
That's great.
So that's a 95th percentile speed score. So for a guy who's 6'4", 220 to run that fast, he's an early declare. But the problem, the thing that's holding him back and why he's not getting the hype is that he has a late breakout age. And he's already 23 years old. And the reason for that, off of Stanford's website. So I'm in here, I'm doing the recon. I'm going to these college sites to read the bios on these players. That's why you come to this. This is why you listen to Double Move Sports. Is so that you can find out that Simi Fehoko served a 2-year Mormon mission in Seoul, South Korea, and came in as a freshman at Stanford at 20 years old.
Wow.
So we can look at guys, other guys in this situation. Kadarius Toney's one of those this year. A guy who was late to the position, was a Wildcat quarterback coming out. We could look at Chase Claypool. Kid was from Canada. Didn't start playing until I think his junior year in high school. So Simi Fehoko is another guy just like that. And he came in as a 20-year-old freshman. Probably hadn't played football in a long time. He didn't do much. But then his sophomore season absolutely broke out. The thing is, though, he didn't command a huge target share, but was super efficient. Alex, these are video game numbers from Fehoko's sophomore year. He had only 24 catches, but was second in the country with 23.6 yards per reception. He had 566 yards on 24 receptions. Extrapolating that out, this guy needed 40 receptions to have a 1,000-yard season. Like, that never happens. That's absolutely nuts. And then he had a 25% touchdown rate, had 6 touchdowns in those 24 receptions. And then as a junior, Fehoko took over the wide receiver 1 role, commanded a fantastic 26.6% target share. And in a shortened Pac-12 season, he only played 6 games, but was on pace to have a full season stat line of 80 receptions, 1,265 yards, 6.5 touchdowns. So, yes, the age-adjusted target share is a big deal for wide receivers, but there were other contextual reasons why Simi Fehoko did not get the target share that he should have gotten. If this guy was 18 as a freshman, he'd be getting so much more hype right now, would be in the same range as guys like Seth Williams, like Nico Collins, early 3rd round. Instant smash for me. Love Simi Fehoko.
I like it. And this goes back to our conversation about what we look for in these late round strategies. It's like, look for the unknown. And this is a perfect example of take a shot on the unknown. This is a guy, when we saw him on the field, was fantastic, but we just don't have the early breakout age. And clearly you laid out the reason for that. And we just don't have the sample size. And it's like, yeah, because he hadn't played football in 2 years. He finally started getting worked up in the offense, and then it was a COVID year. So that's why the sample size isn't there. Who knows? If we did see the full sample size, Fehoko could have been one of these guys we're talking about in the early 2nd round. He could have been in all of our top 10 rankings. We just didn't get to see it. So I love taking a shot on a guy like Fehoko. And Steph, I'm going to go just as deep. I don't want to say deeper because that was a pretty deep name, but I'm going to go just as deep as Fehoko and go with his college quarterback, Davis Mills, out of Stanford. Who knows? Maybe in the 4th round you can get that Stanford stack on your Dynasty.
I've never even heard of this guy, dude.
Davis Mills, quarterback out of Stanford. I will admit that I don't know. You might be able to pick him up late 4th round or on waivers after your draft. He's a 1 to 2 year project to me, but he has upside because of some of the intangibles that he has with his size, with his arm strength and talent. He didn't put up eye-popping numbers at Stanford, but he has some of those quarterback traits that you look for. He's 6'4", 225. That's Andrew Luck size. And he's out of Stanford. Not comping him to Andrew Luck, but he's built the same way. He has the ability to roll out and run if he needs to. Ran a 4.82 40-yard dash. not a blazing time, but for a 6'4", 225 guy, I mean, a 4.82 is not bad. Josh Allen, for context, ran a 4.75. So just a little bit slower than Josh Allen. And at Stanford, here is stats. Similar situation to Fehoko in the sense that he only started 13 games over the past 2 seasons. But in that span, 3,468 yards, 18 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. So not lighting the world on fire, but definitely, solid numbers at Stanford. And I could actually see him moving up in some of these Superflex mock drafts if he gets draft capital. I am seeing a lot of rumors right now that Davis Mills could go to some of the landing spots we talked about for Kellen Mond. He could go to a Pittsburgh. He could go to a Chicago or a Washington or even in Atlanta as early as day 2. So if Davis Mills, a prototypical size, I'm telling you, look out for it. I think he could go on day 2. So Davis Mills, a prototypical size, strength, arm talent, NFL quarterback with the ability to be mobile from Stanford with decent college production, goes to one of these spots where he doesn't have to be a starting quarterback right off the bat. Who knows? We could see him, by matter of circumstance, get an opportunity. I will admit, I don't know if I'm all in on the talent because, again, he's a developmental guy. So I don't know how he's going to develop. So if he does get that opportunity, I can't tell you he is going to come out and be good, but I can tell you there's a chance. And like we talked about earlier, when we're drafting late round rookies, we go for that upside. So if there's a chance Davis Mills could come out and be a starting quarterback in the league one day, I'm going to take a shot on it in the 4th round. So that's kind of the case for Davis Mills. We'll see where he goes in drafts. I do think draft capital is going to be important, and landing spot's going to be important for this guy, but he's someone to keep an eye on for sure.
Interesting. I had not heard much hype on Davis Mills. If he goes day 2, I want to be eating my words because that's crazy. And those guys historically don't hit. But if you're going to take a shot, why not, right? Don't waste a pick like that on a Jordan Love last year.
Right.
Well, if you're going to take a shot like that, do it in the 4th.
Yeah, do it in the 4th. Don't do it in the 1st because we've seen it happen before. We've seen, a Kirk Cousins go in the middle rounds, get an opportunity. People didn't know what he was going to be as an NFL talent, and he ended up being a solid fantasy football quarterback for a long period of time. And with a guy like Davis Mills, that's kind of the upside you're looking at. I don't think he has the upside to be a top 3 guy. But if you're in the 4th round of your rookie draft and you hit a diamond in the rough and you get a guy who's going to be a starter in the NFL for 5-6 years, that's fantastic. So that's kind of the upside for Davis Mills. I know sometimes it doesn't always work out, and that's why we're talking about these low hit rates in round 3 and 4. Jacob Eason, similar, big NFL size, has some development work to do, just never an opportunity. And he's one of those guys, who knows, if he got the opportunity, maybe he would be good. But most of these guys don't even get the chance. So Davis Mills is kind of in that same category. And I know I would love to see him at least get the chance to get some playing time at the NFL level and see what he can do.
Fantasy is crazy because I feel like if the Colts weren't in kind of like a win now mode like they are right now, I feel like they would give Jacob Eason a shot.
Sure.
As opposed to going out and signing Carson Wentz and taking on that huge contract. It's like, let's just see what this rookie's got. We saw it with Gardner Minshew in Jacksonville. But let me talk about another guy, last one here of our rookie sleepers. It's Javian Hawkins, running back out of our alma mater, the University of Louisville. He is a 5'9", 183-pound back. He ran a 4.46 pro day, 4.51 combine adjusted time. Not the craziest measurables you've ever seen, but I think he will have a chance to play a scat back role for a team, a J.D. McKissick, Nyheim Hines, Chase Edmonds type of role. And once you're in the 4th round, this is at least a guy who could have some sort of floor in the right landing spot. He didn't really play freshman year, then went absolutely bananas at age 20 as a sophomore, had 264 carries for just over 1,500 yards, 9 touchdowns, and then had 4 receptions for over 14 yards per reception. And then in 2020, as a junior, was on pace in 8 games for over 1,300 rushing yards, 13 touchdowns, 26 receptions, another 200 yards through the air. The missing piece, because this guy has been super efficient on the ground and through the air, the missing piece for Javian Hawkins, obviously it's the size, but the reason he's not closer to like a Kenny Gainwell is that for the role that he's probably going to play at the NFL level, he didn't show a ton through the air. He didn't produce a monster target share. And as a Louisville fan, I've watched our team. Our passing game has been mediocre at best.
That's generous.
We've had run. It's been absolutely brutal. We've had a run-first quarterback. We've had a brutal offensive line. But Hawkins, believe it or not, this is I heard this on another podcast. Shout out to Ryan Lopes. He shouted this out, was digging into the player bios on the website. If you go to University of Louisville's roster at gocards.com,
man,
you can see that Javian Hawkins actually played a slot wide receiver role and return kicks in high school. So if you like a guy like Amari Rodgers, right, this wide receiver out of Clemson that's getting some hype right now, he's an explosive slot receiver who can take snaps at running back. Javian Hawkins is the anti-Amari Rodgers because he's an explosive running back on the ground who can take snaps at wide receiver. I could see if he does go round 4 or 5 to a team like Jacksonville, Atlanta, Pittsburgh, Denver, where he's going to be playing alongside another plotter back or first or second down bruiser back, and he can play the third down role. He's a guy I'll take a flyer on and try to sell for anything as soon as I can get any type of production, because what's holding him back is that he is so undersized. 4th percentile BMI. It's absolutely brutal. So you hate to see that as a long-term prospect and what he can do fantasy-wise. Guys like that just almost never hit. But I can see him fitting into a role, and who knows, if he develops a little bit, could command a decent target share in the NFL. So that's my other pick here. If I need a running back and I'm in the late 4th round in these drafts, maybe even early 4th round, late 3rd round, Javian Hawkins.